Alright guys, back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Happy Thanksgiving as well to those watching in the US of A. Plenty to dive into today. Shotzzy back to full capacity it seems, so OpTic might be able to get some proper scrims in the final week or so before the season begins. But Arcitys also with some spicy words for aBeZy ahead of what's going to be a spicy rivalry this season. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Quick note on this I thought was funny from Zoomers. This is a Thanksgiving food tier list, and I just thought I'd look at this because some of these things we don't really have in the UK, if ever, and certainly not all that often. For example, a pumpkin pie. I don't know if I've ever had that in my life, to be honest. Like, what's wrong with this corn as well? Corn, there's not only the sweet corn, but also there's creamed corn, cornbread, and then, I guess these are just scones known as biscuits. I don't know what's going on here. Like, okay, this is Zoomer's tier list. I think this has got to be pretty faded, because I've never had a green bean casserole, I don't think, because, again, we don't really have some of these things at Christmas. But Zoomer's hard pass tier, it's got to be faded, because butternut squash is pretty solid, depending on how you eat it. Cranberry sauce is absolute fire. Like, I will not be convinced otherwise. Sweet potato casserole sounds really good, to be honest. And then even these potatoes as well. So, I don't know. Intrigued to your thoughts on Zoomer's kind of Thanksgiving tier list here. A lot of this looks fire. Some of this we don't really have in the UK. And some of this has got to be some faded takes down here at the bottom. Quick note as well. Breaking Point Fantasy is now open for the online qualifiers and Major 1. So, it's all going to be done together here. So, your picks for this, well, the 4 players you pick here will carry through for the qualifiers and Major 1 in Raleigh. And if you win, you get $100 free entry. There's some money on the line. You absolutely can't miss out. This is my team. You've got a $25 budget. There's no restrictions on which kind of players you can pick from certain teams and stuff like this. This is the team that I've put together. To me, Clayster for 4 has got to be a decent shout. Clay early game usually pretty good. And look, you've got $25 to spend. $4 for Clay. Kind of a no-brainer to me. Now, Scrappy, I also wanted to go for Scrappy. I didn't really want to get any like really high value players just because you never really know how good people are going to be in this game, to be honest. Scrappy's only $8. The highest value guys, like, yeah, I think your Preds and your Dashys and Celliums, they're $10. So I thought that was a bit steep, but in fairness, I kind of broke the rules a bit when I went for Sympathy, and we'll see that in a second. But yeah, Scrappy for 8, he should theoretically be up there in terms of, you know, KD-wise, with the best of the best, what we've seen so far, so I'm kind of back in Scrappy. Then I thought Brack. I was going to go for Skies. I thought Skies is a solid shout because New York, from their qualifiers, they have a relatively easy run, theoretically, through their qualifiers, New York, so, like, Skies could be a decent shout here, but if you guys know Brack from back in the Black Ops 4 days, one of the reasons, arguably, why he was out of the scene the last few years was because he had this reputation amongst pros that he just played for kills. Like, he had a great KD in that season, but the results didn't always back it up. So, I don't know if that's changed. Maybe it's changed, and if it has, I'm probably making a bad call here. But Brack for $4 on that logic seemed okay, because Florida they shouldn't be terrible, but they shouldn't be particularly good either. And then I had $9 left to spend. I think it was mostly SMGs. I wanted to go for like an AR really again, because ARs seem to be pretty good right now, but there was only really Awakening that was an AR option there. There was Simp, there was aBeZy, CleanX, and I was tempted to get Envoy actually instead, but I thought, you know what, from what I saw from Simp in the first like week of this game was just ridiculous, so gonna go for it. That's my team. Might not be great. I'm sure you guys can do a better job. Link in the description and the pinned comment below. Let's talk jerseys, baby, because yesterday we talked about the LA Thieves jersey. Arguably not as bad, thankfully, as the prison outfit that they had in the Black Ops 3 season when they first came around. Or maybe you guys think their current jersey for this season is actually worse than this. I don't know. This is kind of like an OG looking jersey at this point. It's still not particularly good though. Royalty Aches and Co. that were wearing this back in the day. Remarkable scenes. But well, let's talk about Toronto's one. That's the thing. When we saw Boston's, we saw Thieves, I was like, okay, how much creative license do these guys have? Some teams I think have killed it with keeping it simplistic, but also just making the design really nice. This is Toronto's one, for example. Here is, well actually this is the hoodie as well, which also looks kind of nice as well. The material also looks kind of good quality. Now I don't know if it actually is and who produces these. And even London were kind of talking about the fact that they're not really sure how they can get this shipped out so easily because the suppliers for the league are in the US, and therefore even if you're in the UK and you want to buy the London merch, you're probably paying pretty ridiculous like export fees and shipping and stuff like this, which really shouldn't be the case. They need to find a way around that. But and also I don't know like what the quality of this stuff is actually going to be like. And this is the actual jersey. Again, I think really well done. They've kept it nice and simple here, Toronto, with kind of the colours scheme and the design. They've just got the logo and everything. But yeah, the colours are nice. They've got the maple leaf kind of design here, the pattern, the texture. It's all looking pretty good. This is London's one, and as I kind of said yesterday, the worse the team, the better the jersey. But again, London have done a pretty good job. I like it with the crown and the raven in the background, and yeah, okay, it's just a simple logo, but the pattern and, as I say, the texture and the kind of the design is, I think, really well done. So well done to London and everyone. I think we're still waiting for about 3 jerseys, like from Vegas, Vegas, from New York, I think, and also from OpTic, of course. And the rumor is we're not going to get those until Monday, so we'll have to stay tuned for a few more days for those to be arriving. And as Raven say, we're working on a solution to ship our products directly from the UK. So, yeah, clearly a thing they need to work around, because right now, if you buy these, you're probably going to have to get them shipped from the US, which obviously isn't going to be ideal for a number of different reasons. This is Surge's one that officially confirmed yesterday as well. They do a nice video announcing it and everything, so just good to see that finally the freedom has come through. I'm not sure, like, look, I like the colors of Surge. Not sure I'm a massive fan of this jersey, to be honest. Like, I can't really tell if I like it or I don't like it, to be honest. It's kind of in between. Gonna put it like a, you know, maybe a solid B tier in my mind. This is what it looks like on the big screen. The back of it, I think, is actually really quite cool here with, you can see Seattle in the backgrounds, and then you got the wave kind of design thing on the front. I don't know. I'm not necessarily a massive fan, but obviously all opinions are free in the comment section below. This is the tier list that Breaking Point put together. I don't think this is a bad tier list. The S tier for Mutineers, I think that what I really like about what Florida have done is it's just like very different. Now, I know that theoretically, in terms of how you should usually design, like, you know, let's just say jerseys for regular sports, you wouldn't usually do it the Florida way. But the Florida, like, that's kind of their organizational brand image anyway, so do something a little bit out of the ordinary. So I think they've killed what they're trying to do there. And then the other teams, you know, I think FaZe and Toronto, and even I would probably swap London and Surge to me. I think that Surge are in that Minnesota tier, and I'd put Ravens one up with Los Angeles, Guerrillas, and the rest. Those are the teams I think they've done a really good job of, like, the simplistic designs. And then you get further down to Boston, which I'm not really a big fan of. And then, yeah, Thieves, the hoodie org, still down in the D tier, and I certainly don't disagree with that one. We should get the Vegas design here in a few days' time, but until we get that, we've got to talk about this here from Clayster. So as he says, what am I playing? Here he is on Embassy, sorry, not Embassy, this is Fortress, of course, Hardpoint, and he's trying it to take down aBeZy, but it doesn't go so well. I mean, look at this. This is the kind of dolphin hop or whatever. Now, some have said this has been fixed, but and maybe it has or maybe it hasn't, but clearly in this clip, whenever this was from, aBeZy can still do it. So, I mean, look, Clayster's trying to take this guy down, jumps out, dolphin hops off the window. There's no way you're going to catch him, and then he mantles up through there. So this is what we saw Shotzzy trying out the other day. This is what we saw other people do. And look, what do you guys think about this? It's obviously pretty outrageous, this movement, but at the same time, this spawn trap on Fortress is also pretty outrageous. Like, how are you meant to get out of this spawn trap? It's so hard when you get ARs posted up to even get out of the trap. Now, this gives you a way to do it, right? So I don't even know if I want it gone, just because it's entertaining and it actually gives you a way out. It's also pretty outrageous, though, it must be said. This I also wanted to note before we talk about the next thing. Just focus on the bottom right. So Clay is 19 in 21 here, and then when it flicks to TJ's POV, you see he's 11 in 21. Temp was 29 in 14, and then right in the final frame, Proloot is 12 in 23. So, you know, I don't know. I thought it was just kind of funny looking at these images that even from this one example of a scrim that they've obviously played and recorded, Clay is about even, Temp is double positive, and both of the SMGs are negative. So maybe an indication of something to come here with the Vegas Legion team this season. Now, as Fellow says, you know, Jesus, hit your shots. We'd love to see you try without aim assist. You know, how do you even call that out right? You should have heard my call out, bro. He did the bounce to front arc. Could be top, could be bottom. I'm just absolutely terrible. So just absolute comedy. Now, Clay obviously wants this fixed as an AR player. I'm sure he's kind of down for this to get fixed. As he says here, like putting it on Twitter will get it fixed. And we've seen the last few days, there's been some questions as to whether, you know, do pros tweeting stuff like this actually make a difference? I think we saw that when Envoy tweeted out about the issues, you know, there has been some response and some feedback from the developers as a result of all the backlash they have seen. Whether they see this and do anything, I don't know. The funny thing I thought was this from Arcitys that then Clayster echoes here in the replies, and Arcitys obviously is joking around to a certain degree, but you know, still, this does echo what Crim6 has said in the past, that aBeZy is basically a movement merchant, and I wonder how it's going to play out in this title, right? With even early on we saw talks about Shotzzy and certainly players like aBeZy, when the last few years they've been in this slide cancel meta where they've pretty much dominated. We haven't really seen aBeZy in a game with no slide cancel meta. The guy's still going to be disgustingly good, but you know, obviously he likes exploiting the movement, this included. And if this does get removed at some point, then what does it mean for, well, how FaZe might cope this season? Arcitys, of course, former teammate, former iLLeY of the FaZe team, recently kicked by aBeZy and co, going on to LAG during the offseason. aBeZy only good when breaking game mechanics. What's new? Look at him on Vanguard at a man's game, has to dolphin dive twice to get past a world champion, top 2 AR ever to even compete, lol. For aBeZy, so I don't know, thought it was relatively entertaining, but does Arcitys have a point hidden deep down there where when, you know, as of when this movement gets patched, aBeZy's going to be on the struggle struggle bus. I don't know. We don't know how good FaZe are so far. We've seen that in most people's power rankings, they're about seconds. But as I say, because FaZe have been destroying everyone in scrims the last, like, 3 years, I think the coaches and the teams always give them a bit of benefit of doubt, just because they know that, like, they just get destroyed by FaZe all the time. So even if they aren't doing so well at the moment, they should be that good, even though right now they're probably still the second best team in scrims. We just don't really know what's been happening over the last couple of weeks or so. aBeZy says, you know, that is on me, because, I mean, yeah, pretty outrageous. And maybe the pros GA this, right? Is there a possibility that the pros say, you know what, let's just not use this and let's just decide between ourselves that this movement is, you know, not on and it's too overpowered and it's unfair for whatever reason, and they might just GA this particular hop even if it's still allowed in the game. Who knows what they're going to do. Quick note as well on the OpTic side of things, because we saw the other day that Rambo said on stream that one of their players was unwell and therefore they weren't able to practice, right, and they had to take a day or so off. Now it's funny really, because I said in that video that, okay, Shotzzy was streaming, Scump was streaming, I thought maybe Dashy was streaming as well, which I think he was, so I was like, okay, maybe it was iLLeY that was unwell. But then I like found a clip from Shotzzy's stream and he was like very clearly unwell, like his voice was obviously not good, and I was like, okay, maybe it was Shotzzy that was unwell after all, but Shotzzy was streaming, so I'm like, if he was streaming, why couldn't they scrim? Which is kind of a confusing thing to me, because Rambo said they had to take the day off scrims because one of their players was unwell, but then Shotzzy was clearly unwell, but also he was streaming, so like, he maybe was still okay to practice, maybe, I don't really know what the situation was there, but anyway, he reckons he's now better. He's been down bad and unwell the last couple of weeks, so you know, hopefully he's back to normal now. But this is a question about OpTic's practice, especially because today being Thanksgiving, there's, I believe the teams aren't practicing today. Usually they take the day off, most certainly, so they'll be back in business tomorrow. But if OpTic lost a good couple of days of practice because of, you know, Shotzzy or someone else being unwell, and then on top of that you've had the game issues that have stopped practice the last couple of weeks, then you've got Rambo on top of that saying, you know what, they're not really that good right now, they've got plenty of things to work on, the teams, the coaches are ranking them 7th highest. It's just interesting because OpTic historically have always been not dominant, but always been one of the best teams right at the start of game cycles. This season might be an exception to the rule, like coaches believe they're kind of a middle of the pack team as it stands. Shotzzy, the illness or whatever, has obviously affected them over the last couple of weeks, and then the game issue hasn't obviously helped them either. So yeah, they've got about a week or so to get ready to go. Their first match is I think next Saturday maybe, so you know, they've got just over a week of good practice left, I suppose, and even the state of the game right now isn't ideally conducive to practice either, because the CDL rule set is still broken a little bit, thanks to Infinity Ward and the boys. Quick note as well, because apparently there's a new grip in the game, possibly with some new weapons there. The Commando 4 grip is now a thing as well, and the pros are so confused as to what they can actually use and what they can't. Basically, if it doesn't increase hipfire spread, you're allowed to use it on the underbarrel, but then Clay's like, hang on, that Commando one, what's going on there? Where did this even come from? This is the funny thing, the pros have GA'd all the, you know, a lot of the underbarrel attachments, but then if the developers just add new ones, then what do you do? I mean, like, it's an absolute mess, to be honest, the GA stuff right now, and we'll talk about it a little bit more later in the day as well. But very much enjoy your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.